Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Paranormal Mediums with our hostess, um, Dr. Julie Starr,
And the dog in the background.
and and is Annabelle and myself, Fayon. But we are very excited to bring you some amazing clips from our adventures. The other, what is it, 2 weekends ago when I went to visit Julie and her extremely haunted house. So, Julie, tell us a little bit about your house and all the activity that's going on there. I mean, I know because I got to experience it, but
Well, there's a little bit of activity, and we capture a lot on the infrared camera, things going on. And, there's also physical, you know, things that happen, like objects flying across the room. That has happened recently. Um, the one I told
what?
you, bowl and how the stick flew across the room, it was halfway. So, I mean, there's stuff that happens here. I am bothered. Anytime I start falling asleep or whenever I'm in bed and anytime I'm relaxed, is there's the people are talking to me. And so it's like, I'm like, what is going on with all this? And it's when we first started capturing it on video, I realized, there really are a lot of spirits around here. So this house is in a very old town, and the house has only been here since 1965, but the town is old. So I know there's spirits around. I've seen them on my walks down the street. This place has been here since the 1700s as a town. So it's just here. It's just here. There's a pathway that goes right through my house.
Yeah, and they even do historical tours with some of the right in town, right? And Julie was showing me all of the old houses and what was it, the printing press,
Yeah.
and it just beautiful. I'm myself love like historic architecture, and it was just amazing to see it, like just the how well they kept the houses too, especially in
Yeah,
your area.
it's really nice. And some of these really old buildings around here have ghosts in them. I mean, my hairdresser, bless him, this old building where his barber shop, his, what do you call it? The place you go get
Salon,
your salon. Yeah.
salon.
And there are ghosts there. And I mean, I've seen them with my eyes as an orb, when I was getting my hair done. And, he's has all kinds of communications with them. He's a medium himself. And he has created this haunted hotel out of it. It
That's
runs
right. I
year long. It's like in the top haunted houses in like the country. And so
Man, we
people,
should have done it.
yeah, so there's it's history. It's, and a lot of these towns have a lot of history. So yeah, so you can have some encounters, especially if you're sensitive to it.
Absolutely. And for those of us joining us tonight, um, Julie and I will be doing live mediumship readings. So if you are interested in getting a reading, please put in the chat, any questions that you have, and Julie and I will be happy to get to them. So just feel free to interrupt us with any messages that you have. And if you also have stories about your own paranormal experiences, or any sort of, let's say, what I've been really into lately is near death experiences. Remember, I called you the day, I was like, oh my gosh. And this one lady said this amazing, I'm just fascinated with, just, well, everything paranormal, but, right now it's about, near death experiences for me. And it's funny because my father, and my mother-in-law, both obviously not together, um, had um, had their own near-death experiences. my father in Vietnam, he actually got 3 Purple Hearts because
Wow.
because he was shot, blown up, and then shot again. Yeah, just yeah, and so he died for a bit and had the whole experience, and then which I can get into at another time, but and then my husband's mother, she was in a horrific car accident where they had to reconstruct the side of her face.
Wow.
And yeah, her eye came out and
Ah!
everything. It was just horrible. But thankfully they were both here because without them, Ben and I wouldn't be here.
And maybe you can have time to tell those stories after, you talk about the videos.
Oh, absolutely. I keep trying to have my father get on, and he goes, I don't want to be famous. I'm like, don't worry. This won't make you famous.
Right. And I'm gonna do readings tonight too, if anybody would like a reading.
Yes. Yes, we'd love to give readings and just have conversations with you as well. So, like I said, feel free to put in the chat any questions or readings that you'd like us to, or I guess things that you would like us to look into. So yeah, and we really wanted to talk about our trip, well, my trip to Julie's house. And it was so much fun. I've known Julie for years, and we've gone on a lot of adventures, but never have I ever gone to Julie's house. So, and then after years of hearing the activity, of course, me being who I am, have always been like, I just want to go to your house. And it was definitely an amazing experience. We went there to go to Goldsboro.
Burra.
Yep, Goldsboro for a psychic fair. And then I stayed with Julie. And it was an amazing weekend all around. But I will say my highlight definitely was the activity that was in Julie's house. I mean, it was nonstop.
Well,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
we got some very cool video with you
Yes.
with the infrared camera and the energies. And
Oh my gosh, yes. And so I'm going to start queuing this up, and you can kind of explain to everybody what we were doing.
okay. Oh, you want me to start explaining now? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we did not dance. Usually when I want to stir up some spirit activity, I'll get very happy and play some ABBA music or something. I'm telling my age by talking about ABBA, right? But you know
What? I love ABBA. Yeah.
dance. Anyway, I'll play ABBA and then different dance music, and I'll just have a great time dancing by myself. But I'm not really dancing by myself because I will capture like these orbs that come around me or spin around me or go past me or whatever. And when I'm doing it, I am in my power, and I have called in protection, and I'm specifically asking for my ancestors to come in. Though I suspect there are other opportunists that come in as well. It's not just my or my grandmothers. I like to call my grandmothers in for a dance party. So what Thad and I did, we did not dance. We just sat on the couch and meditated. And then we were literally focusing on energy and pushing energy out to see if we could capture that on video. And we captured some pretty interesting things. So I'll let Theon take it over now.
So awesome. And so this is going to run continuously. So yeah, and as Julie was saying, we were not necessarily dancing, but we were kind of pushing out our energy. So a lot of activity kind of centered around that. So in this first clip, it's a very quick one. Just these two, actually three, because I kind of cut it so that you can see where Julie sort of like on Julie's side, because then some activity happened on hers. So you're going to see two orbs popping in right by where that beautiful painting of Julie's dog is, and then right by where the lamp is, and then off to Julie's side. So there we go. Oh, I think I messed that one up. Okay, so I do have to preface by saying, yes, my eyes looked very scary.
It's like I'm sitting next to a ghost.
I almost didn't want to send this because I was like, oh my gosh, I am terrifying. My eyes.
The infrared, it's the night vision. It just does that.
Yes, and it's funny because I was I'm not sure why this is not pausing. It's so funny. So the crazy thing about it was I was actually the reason my eyes were open was because I was looking at the wall in front of me, which was there was this dark fog just sitting there. So I'm going. This is so quick that it's like it's not even stopping. So you're going to see. Oh, I know why. I'm going to pause this and slow them down.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So, yeah, you're going to see some of the activity. And as we know, the electronics today are probably not going to be as cooperative as we'd like, since I guess that means Mercury retrograde. So you see that right at the bottom there. And okay, and then right by Julie's face, you can actually see it sort of manifesting.
Yeah, just kind of appears in air.
Yeah.
Some of it looks like it's coming out of us too. And right out of
absolutely. Yeah.
There's one.
Go. Yeah. And the crazy eyes. Like, where are my irises? And then we're talking and it goes right above our heads. So I'm not sure. Oh, let me play it. Right there. It shoots right into the wall. And maybe that was what I was looking at earlier. And then me some of my favorite parts. So we kind of just broke this one up. Oh, I think this one is about my favorite one because you can actually see here how Julie, let me get it. How Julie is, and hopefully this is, okay, just watch by her knee. It just comes right out of her knee. You could see it manifesting.
It came right out. Yeah.
Yeah, let me try to slow it down. Oh no, it's as slow as it goes, but
yeah,
not
out of my knee. And it's huge.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you can really see when it's slowed down that it's just coming right out of my knee. Look at that.
Oh, that is so cool.
That actually hands up. I was opening a portal.
So, oh, this one is pretty crazy.
Oh,
so
this is my favorite. Okay.
Yeah, this one I was bringing out my power, and I always see it, and it's funny as I always see it like I'm like a dragon. So you know, and at that time I was like, I just want to like push out my energy and see what happens, and thought that was pretty cool. So I'll try to slow it down.
Look, that's huge.
Yeah, and you can kind of make out almost a face, which I thought was pretty interesting. Let's see if I can actually get it to there. Like you can kind of see, it almost feels like these are horns, but like the two eyes right here.
Uh-huh.
yeah, coming out. And so I like to scare my kids and tell them that I can push out dragons when I'm upset. And I dare not to show them this one because again, with my eyes, but I think this one's a further shot yet. And then there's one that goes right by Julie right after that. I think just because it's a little slower, but it's going to go. Yep, you see it?
Oh, I missed it.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can pause it. And because it's extremely bright too. Watch. See how it manifests from your
Oh,
wall?
yeah, ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking in the wrong place.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting.
Right. Just a lot of interesting things happen. And that was just what, 30 minutes? We did that for about 30 minutes and
Yeah,
got so much activity.
yeah, it's not that. Yeah, it just appeared and disappeared. Isn't that interesting?
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this last one was this pretty large, and I didn't actually get a chance to look at this one as closely. Let me see if I
There is one that looked like it came right out of my cat. Did you get that?
Y-
That one?
yeah, I can't find it. Was that in the longer version?
It was in
Um
one, and it looked like it came right out of Gizmo. It was like
that
tiny, tiny coming out of her hip, and then it just blew up and got real big.
yes. And I for some reason I can't find it in these. So maybe
Yeah, it's probably because those are cropped, and she
yeah.
was down low.
And it was right after the one that happened in your knee, right? Um,
It was in that range. Yeah.
yeah. I'll try to find it, but yeah, even Julie's cat was getting involved. So
Oh,
um
if the cat's in there, play
yeah,
that one.
let's see. Yeah.
Oh, I don't see the cat in that one. Oh,
Yeah,
there she.
she's not. I remember her hopping on one point. Oh, that's the ones that sort of came from here.
Mm.
And then let me see. I could I thought I got it too. I don't remember this one. I think, oh,
There,
okay. Okay, good. So I think this one
there's
might be.
my kitty cat Gizmo. And so yeah, watch around her hips if that's the
Yeah,
one that came right out of her hip.
I think it is. Yeah. Ready?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, it's because it's so slowed down. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and she's such a trooper, this one. Your animals are very they know, well, I mean, I'm sure they experience it a great deal too.
yeah, they're used to it. And Gizmo has seen some things. There was one time this particular cat right here. I
Yeah.
was in my bedroom and she was standing in the adjoining room, which is the Zendo. And all of a sudden, she said, just out of nowhere, she just like jumped back like this and hissed at the ceiling. And I saw this like shadow. And I went in there. I'm like, what the heck, Gizmo? Well, there was nowhere for her to run because the door was closed. And I'm
Ugh.
like, what the heck, Gizmo? And I don't know what that was, but there was some kind of something there because she certainly reacted.
Yeah, and it's funny is for the most part, they don't really mess with your animals, which
Uh-uh.
is yeah, which is good. But you know, but
They
it's
have
funny.
cats
Yeah,
a few.
they what?
They have spooked my cats a few times. And then I've watched Kalo, and I can watch the cats too, watching them. I can see them tracking something. I have some of that on video too, where I can see the orbs coming in, and it's in
Yeah.
sync with the dog or the cat moving their head like they're watching.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember, I think there was one that I was watching, yeah, Puff, actually. Oh, there it is. It's shot right out of Gizmo here.
Right out of her hip. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you play just that part again
yeah,
and watch her hip.
yeah. It just did it. I'm trying to maybe ready. So you should see it right now. Start manifesting from the cat. Right there.
Right
You
there.
see,
I don't, yeah, it's hard for me to see it with the angle of my phone and this ring light in my face, but
yeah,
it's
it comes right here.
it's
Yeah,
really,
right
I
there.
can't explain that. I can't explain that coming out of her like that.
Well, she was, she was hanging out with us, so she was probably like, "Oh, well, I'll shoot some energy out too." Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, we've had and just in some of the communication which I just really get excited about is like I've noticed that I have some connection and also Julie has some connection to my guides. I have connection with her guides. And I'm often saying like it's almost like maybe our guides are friends in some way, but we get messages for each other.
Yeah,
If I'm ever concerned about Julie or want to check in, I always say, I hope you're taking care of Julie, and then she gets the message.
yeah,
And stuff like that, like there's got to be something said for that because I know one of my guides, being my mother, absolutely loves Julie and always has since we were in school together. So, it's funny. She'll say things to Julie that if I'm ignoring her. So if
yeah,
I've decided I'm not listening to her, any of her guidance, she'll go to Julie and she'll tell on me.
yeah. There's something that she is not in agreement with that Theon is doing or is about to do and has some advice. She'll come in my head like this. And I'll say, Theon,
I know.
you're
I'm like, okay, I heard her. I just was ignoring it.
and
Um,
still anyway, and still ignored it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, listen, I'm still just as stubborn as I was when I was a child. So, and she knows that. So, and she's always found a way to get to me. So now she has Julie. Um, but yeah, and it's interesting. If any of you have any close friends that you have those kind of synchronicities with, we'd love to hear it because we are just always fascinated about like the things that we experience as just as friends and that psychic connection that we've had. I think even before we really started becoming good friends, there was just always something. I remember one of the most notable, and I think this was probably the first time I knew something was going on. And Julie and I were in a mediumship class, and we opened up, in class, we were to open up a portal and allow, the spirits to come in so that we can communicate. And um, and just so you know, this is the second time, by the way, in our friendship that's happened. But that was the first, of course, of the two. And so we're getting into this trance state, and I guess everybody was our instructor, Deborah, called everybody back, had them close the portals and come back to their space. But I don't remember so much that. I don't remember doing that. I remember her saying, okay. And then, we were kind of closing up and I was in such a daze and I was like, what the heck happened? And I literally felt like I was detached from my body watching this human move around. And it was, yeah. What was your experience, Julie?
Yeah, I was in a daze too. I remember texting you saying, I am so out of it. I do.
Yeah.
And you said, well, me too. And I said, we
Yeah.
just never back. And then, then we had a synchronous spirit and
Yeah. Yes.
uncrossed earthbound spirit
Yes.
that was
And
with both of us.
I know, and it was very odd because for the most part, people's family, loved ones were coming in, and I guess because Julie and I just were, kind of stayed open. The next day, I'm in meditation. I'm trying to shake myself out of this daze. I'm still in this daze, and I hear in my right side, I just want to kill myself. Like somebody literally said it. It was I can actually feel the heat of the person, like right by my head, and I just went like, and I go, who is that? And then I heard the name. And I'm not going to really say the name. And then they began to tell me, you know, when they died and how they died. They, committed suicide, and I knew it was a young girl. And I could see, as I'm communicating with her, I'm starting to see flash images of her face and, distinctive features. So at the time, there were a few other friends of ours. We had this like a group text, and I'm sitting and I'm about to hit send, and Julie messages and says, I just had the crazy experience, and I'm going to let Julie tell me her experience.
I had mine was probably about three in the morning. I woke up about 3 in the morning because a lot of my spirit communication, since things happen while I'm in bed, because this is like the veil is thin. I am in that state. It is every night. So I wake up at 3 in the morning, and behind my eyelids, I see this white light, like an opening in a portal, and a person comes through it. I'm seeing this behind my eyelids. And then I hear a girl's voice say, well, I guess I'm still here. And I said back to her, well, I guess you are. And then I saw the face of a young girl, teenage girl behind my eyelids. And then she was gone. That's basically what I remember of. I think she was gone after that. And I texted you and I said, this happened. And then you're like, get out. This is what just happened. And we determined it as the same girl,
Yep.
and then we ended up having a group session to bring her back in. And
Yeah.
I channeled her, and I had never had that experience before. So Theon and the other person we were reading with were communicating with her and getting the story. And all of a sudden, here she is, and she's talking through me. And I could literally feel her emotions in terms of listening to what you guys were saying about what was right and what she didn't agree with. And
Yes, I know.
her experience, and she just started talking, and it was the most profound thing. And we called in Jesus Christ. We called in Jesus Christ, and immediately I could see like this image of Jesus, and my eyes are closed. I can see this image of Jesus, and he was wearing like this yellow cloak, and there was like red heart, and this girl started singing. She started singing Jesus Loves Me.
Yes.
And it was just incredible. And then all of a sudden, there she goes, and she is left with Jesus. She that higher plane. And I was literally sick. I had never felt that way before. I was sick for 3 days. In terms of just like my energy, my low energy, just like felt awful. had to lay in bed, and it's like whatever that experience was, and I've not allowed anything like that to happen like that since then. I mean, I've done some light channeling, but nothing like that, because if I'm like, I can't even function like that. I can't function with that kind of, energy drain.
Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible. As a side note, what we had determined because of the information she gave me, she even gave me location. We were able to actually look her up because one thing she was saying to me was, please tell my parents I'm sorry and all of these things. And as mediums, it is, our responsibility, right, to help, facilitate a spirit's, crossing over or closure for that spirit. And, um, you know, we felt, we spoke with our instructor actually, and now, this is, something that is important to us is that, um, you know, how will her family receive it? How will her family receive that information? And so we did a reading on that because, some people may or may not want, may or may not be ready to receive it. And it's not for us to determine or force that information onto them. So we did a reading and, we saw that, long story short, and I don't necessarily want to get into why, but there were some traumatic things that happened that would indicate to us to not say anything. And that was hard, especially because of, the reason why we became, a professional intuitives and psychics is to help. And what really is what she needed
With
was to cross over. Yeah.
right. I got it pretty clear too that our job was not to reach out to the parents. And
Right.
it's like out of the blue, you don't just like reach out to people
Yeah.
without being invited. But it seemed very clear to me that now that she was crossed over into a higher plane, that she will be able to reconnect and connect with her
With them.
parents ready. And it may be through another medium. It could be through signs. It could be through synchronicity. She may talk to them herself.
Yeah, because
That
they may not be, they weren't ready, and some people aren't, right?
Yeah, it
And
was a tragic case. It was hard to look at and hard to experience her in terms of what she experienced that led her to suicide. I mean, she's a young teenager,
yeah,
like not 16 yet.
yeah,
And
she was just turned 16.
we're talking like the severe bullying and sexual experiences and things like that. It was
Yeah.
hard to look.
Yeah, and it really was for her to grow and then to be able to communicate in the process of healing, because as spirits, we don't stop growing or learning or healing. So at that stage, what she needed was for us to understand for her and for her to show her that crossing over is not something to be feared. It's going home.
Right.
So yeah, and for her, Jesus was the symbol that made her understand, and it was a beautiful experience. I wasn't in Julie's position, but I was able to see what was going on, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in crossing a spirit over. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It
Uh,
was too. It was the most profound experience, and I don't know that there'll be one more profound than that. But when you were talking about it, I just saw this white spark go off your side of your head. Kind of cool.
I love it. Well, it's funny is and since then, Julie and I have helped other spirits and helped cross over other spirits and things like that. So this really kind of set the stage. And it's funny, which I think is it had brought us even closer, is that the combined experiences never fail to stop with us. We're always going through, hi Rachel, How are you? Let us know if you want a reading. Just feel free to put it in the chat. And Julie and I are just talking about some of our exciting experiences as intuitives, but also very telepathic with each other. We always
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you visit me on the astral plane. So, I mean, it was just I wrote down in my notes the other morning, I said, there was a certain time during the night, I said, I have the feeling Theon is here. And there was the other morning I saw your forehead, and it was your forehead, but I knew it was your forehead.
Yeah. No, but isn't it? Yeah, go ahead. I know, but how do you know it's just my forehead? It's
I just
right?
forehead. It was emerging out of the darkness. It was just your forehead. And I said,
Bouncing
"Wow,
around.
she's visiting. She's visiting."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And that same morning, I got this flash image of Julie laying in bed with her eye mask on. And I was like, okay. And I didn't even think anything of it. I was just thinking, okay, well, I was just at her house
For
and,
that.
and I see her with an eye mask on. So, that wasn't, that was typical, but, for her to, wake up and see my forehead, it must have been
Yeah, on
something.
the night. I mean, you did visit. You did visit on the astral
Oh,
plane.
yeah.
You were
Oh,
sleeping.
gosh. Yeah, and I've had vivid dreams where I'm like, Julie, do you remember this conversation that we had on the astral? I remember having one, it was like a Thelma and Louise thing. And we were like trying to get in the car and it wasn't starting. And yeah, it was some really intense moments. But what was the other one? We had another really just eerie experience similar to what we experienced the first time.
Well,
Um,
the one that in a place that shall not be named, is that the one you're talking about, where the mother and the son from the Civil War era?
oh yes, I was talking about our synchronicities, but I love that
Oh my
story too.
God, I can't even think of them now. I mean, they're just so commonplace.
Yeah.
They're so
Uh,
commonplace. Even just the other day, it was 6677.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I was laying in bed and I just saw the number 6677. And this is how my guides will communicate with me and spirits will communicate with me at night. I see things behind my eyelids, like literally, or behind my eyelids. And these just a number popped up, 6677. I'm like, I just wrote it down. I'm like, I don't know what that's about. And when she came down, we were talking and she mentioned that her birthday was in 77. She was born in 77. And I'm like, I was born in 66. And then you were talking about that being your favorite number because that's the year what
That
was it?
that was how old my mother was when she
That's how old
passed. So yeah, and so it became my like oddly enough my symbol for whenever she would come in, I would see 66 and I kept seeing it everywhere. And so it became my almost in a sense one of my favorite numbers because that was when I would communicate with my mother, and my birth year is 77. So I always put those two numbers together as like for me and my mother. But then when Julie told me that her birth year is 66, I was like,
and
yep.
I had just seen 6677 behind my eyes. You have this thing about 6677. And
Yep.
so that's us. We're 66 and 77.
70. Absolutely. No wonder my mother loves you. And right. And it almost it feels like we were brought together. But Rachel said she would love a reading, and anything that comes in, I'm open to it. So yay, I'd love to give you a reading.
And Rachel, if you have a question too, you can pop in a question.
Yeah,
And
if there's anyone specific that you want to connect with, right?
we're gonna do mediumship.
Oh yeah, and we could do mediumship. We could do anything actually. Rachel, do you want us to do connect with a loved one, or do you want a just a reading, a general reading? I love how technology works.
I know. It's hear people's voices.
Right?
Yeah.
I always hear Rachel's voice in my head anyway. So.
Well, I'm already just seeing yellow. I'm seeing yellow around, and that's one way I make my connection is a color will pop up, or colors in the aura, and then I'll just move into the color and see what information is held in that color.
Yeah.
But they're yellow.
We can try to reach a loved one, but I'm not set on anyone. Okay, yeah, how about we see what comes in, and we can move into whomever wants to come in, or if there's any guidance that anyone can give you. So, okay.
Well, I'll
So-
just start. I'll
Okay.
just start saying moving yellow color, and it's a very clear, and there's a streak of green through it. And so this green is a very loving energy, and there's something here with nature, and this love with nature, and this loving energy. But the yellow is feeling like optimism, like things are looking up, or things are going to be looking up for you, Rachel. You're feeling optimistic and hopeful about something, and something in your life that's growing. And this is that green also. There's the nature, there's the loving energy about you, but something in your life growing. So if this hasn't started yet, or maybe you're just starting to see signs of it, is something coming for you. And I'm going to let Thayon start with what she had.
Yeah. It's funny is, I'm like starting to see it's funny, like it looks like a black and white scene. And then I'm starting to see patterns, like geometric patterns, lines, dots. And there's this sort of light beam bouncing all around this. It's really interesting because it's like this black and white scene. It started off pretty faded and is now starting to grow. The image is starting to get a little bit more refined. And I always get symbology in the beginning, and very much like Julie is saying, a lot is coming up for you. There's definitely a transformation. I began to see an outline of a woman's face, which I definitely feel the energy of your grandmother. But it's funny because she's that orb of light that keeps bouncing around you. So there's a lot of that influence, in this decision making. There's a, and it's funny, and I want to say it like this. She's saying, since I've passed, it was almost like you stepped up, and there's a change in and I wouldn't say, she says maturity. She's saying maturity, like where you're almost like, okay, well now I'm, there's the dynamic is different, and therefore, what I was comfortable in, probably held me back a little bit, is what she's saying. It's like, and not in a negative way. And again, the passing of your grandmother was a very tragic thing. But yes, and she's saying yes. It's like you've kind of started waking up to certain things and seeing those patterns, like what I'm saying. She's saying you're seeing these patterns even more now, and like it's all starting to blossom, which just became a butterfly. And she's giving me a lot of analogies and chills, because that's the kind of woman she is. She's very interactive and very excited, to watch you blossom, and she keeps saying to take her place. Take her place within the family, take her place, and start really building on that. And as you are starting to gain this strength, it's not like things are coming and opening up for you. You are creating the energy that brings these things. So it's not like, whereas maybe before it felt like things were, you were passively accepting things that were coming to you, but now you are, I literally see you getting up and going, you know what? And like, I'm going to do it. And that's what she's very proud of. So, yeah.
Yeah, that must be the pink orb that I was seeing coming in. It felt very motherly. I was gonna ask you if your mother was still alive. So this may be the grandmother, but she feels just as much mother as grandmother to me. Would that be accurate that you had that kind of relationship with her? If so, just pop that in and let me know. I was looking too more about what's coming up for you with this growth. And I see the growth that happens at a personal and spiritual level, but there also feels like something in your outward environment, Rachel, that's coming up for you, that you're optimistic about, that you're hopeful about. And it may even be in terms of your family income or the income in your family somehow improving, or some kind of opportunity. It feels like some kind of opportunity for your family.
Yes, and she did say yes, and then she also said she's my mom's mom. I see her in that way now. Yes.
Okay, when I'm going into this pink, and the pink is just very loving. She's just giving so much love to you, but there's like a little, I'm just seeing like a little flip in her hair or something right here. Yeah, and that she's so proud of you, and she's very, Rachel, you have children, right? I'm getting this sense of kids, but she's very closely watching your kids, and she enjoys that so much. So she'll pop in, and the holidays are coming up, and she's going to be right there with those kids. And I'm seeing like one of the kids playing with a car, like a toy car or something. I don't know, like big like this. And she's just right in the middle of all of that. And she wants you to do some baking. So whether you not, she wants you to do some baking.
Yes, and she said she has the most gorgeous soft gray hair. Yes, I have 2 kids. I'm crying now.
I, I don't know if one is going to get like a toy, like a model car thing, but I mean, I feel like one is a boy.
She gave me the cookbooks right before passing.
Oh, she did. Oh, okay. That's what that's about. She wants you to use them and do some holiday baking. And she will be right there with you when you're doing. Yeah, over your whispering. Yeah. So just little nudges.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so funny as, as I'm seeing her energy, and so when Julie was talking about her being with your kids, I shot immediately to this interaction that it seems like she has with your son a lot. And how she feels like I could do all these things now that I couldn't before when I was, in a physical body. Like it feels like she actually feels much freer. And, I've read her before, and, and this was kind of early on, and just like, pretty early on after her passing. And it's like, it's almost like this newfound sense of, how eternal she really is right now, and how there's like I mean, I'm sure she felt it immediately that there's no pain and things like that, but she's I heard agile. She is now much more agile than she was before, and there's an excitement about it. So like the holidays for her right now are actually even more exciting because she gets to experience all aspects at once. That's how I'm feeling. And I see her playing with the kids. I see her also in the kitchen with you, like Julie was saying, which was really cool. I'm so proud of her. I know she gave me, yeah. Oh, I just absolutely love that. And there's, there's this free feeling, you know, that I'm getting from her now. And it's quite amazing. And because she has this knowledge, and she keeps saying, I have this knowledge that, you know, death does not separate us. In fact, it makes us even more one. It makes us even more close. So only we will know that after we pass. But apparently your grandmother already does.
Right.
So
I'm also getting an image that one of your kids will see her at night, or if they haven't already seen her, that they're going to see her. It seems like it's just one of your kids. And I just see her like at the foot of the bed, and your child will see her and
I've seen that too. Yeah.
receive some kind of communication from her.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh,
Does she have a girl? Rachel, do you have a little girl?
yes. And yes. And her son is autistic as well, she said.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
stereotypical. I just saw him going back and forth like this with the car, with the toy car. That's kind of a stereotypical behavior
yeah.
of some
And her daughter is 6. Mhm.
daughter of 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I'm not sure which one. I'm not sure which one. Because at first I was feeling like it was the little boy. But then I'm also feeling like the little girl too. Maybe it's both of them.
Definitely think that. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you would hear from your little girl about something she might see or hear or dream about, or a message she may receive.
So my daughter is her first grandchild, and she's been told both. And yeah, and then she also wants to add, how does her grandmother feel about her mom? I feel like I need advice there. So and yes, and I will, just to get back to her kids, Julie, I've seen it too. Like her son definitely sees her. I feel him, just like you're saying, he's playing and then he starts laughing, like they're talking and she's whispering in his ear and saying, you know, yeah, and I've seen it, which is really cool. So yeah, that's
And
incredible.
so open. Kids are so open.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, and I've long always understood children that have, you know, various forms of autism, you know, can have a deeper connection to the spirit world, you know, just because of their, and how I've seen it in a couple of readings that I've done where the child feels almost like they're halfway between both. And you know, and I found that actually through a reading I accidentally did for someone who their autistic child was in the background, and I kept hearing him talking about his mother and saying all these things, and I was like, you have a son and he's you know, he's saying this and this, and she goes, well, my son's not verbal. And I said, well, he certainly is here. And so and I just, he began telling me these stories, almost like, oh, somebody hears me. And so and that's always been a very interesting thing for me. I've only had a few, like maybe 3 now, that I've had you know, pretty decent conversations with, and from what I've understood from their experiences. Again, there hasn't been research done about it. One day I would love to do it, but I definitely feel that you know, autistic children or people with autism may have a stronger you know, a connection with both sides, which may make it difficult for them to communicate in this plane, I guess.
That's really
So
interesting. Yeah, I've never
yeah.
done readings like that with involving autistic children, but that's fascinating. It makes sense that they would, if certain parts of their brains are not operating, there may be other parts of the are not operating to normally, that there would be other parts of the brain that may be more open to spirit communication and intuition. And we know some autistic children are geniuses in some areas. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very.
Oh, she said, I would love for you to read my son. He's almost 5 and doesn't speak complete sentences. Absolutely, Rachel, I will love to take you up on that. And in fact, maybe we can set this up at some point. I would prefer to do it in private. If Julie and I, we often do readings together. So as you're witnessing right now, so I would love to sit down and he can be in the room playing. He doesn't necessarily have to be on camera, but we can try to connect with him and see if we can communicate. So actually, I will text you after, and we can set that up.
Right. Oh, and she wants us to look at her mom. So what was it about what her grandmother has any messages about her mom? Was that it?
Yes, because she needs some advice. So,
Her mom?
how does she feel about her mother? Yeah. So, is there any advice to give for her grandmother's daughter, which is Rachel's mother?
Okay. All right. I'm gonna see if I can make a connection.
Okay. I don't know why, and I'm not sure if you know anybody named Sue Ann, but anyway, I just heard Sue Ann. Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sitting with this feeling of it's something that feels there's just this feeling of seriousness, and I'm just trying to move into this feeling of seriousness with your mom. How I'm having a hard time putting words to it. That her mother is right there with her and is there in like giving supportive energy. So I don't I don't know that it really feels so much like a choice that your mom is trying to make, but there is something that has her in a state of serious contemplation. Is this accurate? Tell me if this is accurate, if I'm reading into this correctly. It's like
Yeah,
something happened. Has something, it feels like something has happened.
yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
it's kind of loss. What I don't know what it is.
Yes, accurate 200 percent, my mom. Yeah. So something has happened. And it's funny because I started getting a lot of pressure from my front forehead down into like literally like this. So it actually feels like my third eye is like disoriented and not seeing things in a certain way. So there's some disconnection that I'm seeing. It's almost like I am not like I'm there's some blockage, and it's kind of um, uh, not allowing your mother to see things clearly, and that's a concern. Yeah.
Okay. I'm feeling like your grandmother really is very close by to your mom right now. And there's just this feeling of reverence and quietude from the spirit world and just giving her some support right now. It feels like one of those things in life that every so often we come into these times in our life where we are facing challenges and we're facing loss, we're facing transition. This feels like some kind of loss to me.
Yes.
It
Yes.
feels like
And
loss.
yeah.
And it's
And
these things where your grandmother is saying that she just needs to move through it. So find meaning wherever she can find that meaning. There are going to be some choices that she's going to have to make, and whatever choice she makes will be based in her own wisdom. So if she can have somebody who has a more objective viewpoint that she can talk to and get advice from that would be helpful, because like Theon said, there's something that she's not seeing objectively. You know, she was talking about the disconnection. I'm seeing that too. There's something that she may not be seeing objectively because she's so close to it. And this has impacted her on such an emotional level.
Yeah, and
That,
she's saying losing her mom shook her up badly, but I think it is more than that. And she said, beautifully said, Julie. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So that's the advice. If she has a message and advice, is that that she needs somebody else who has an objective viewpoint that she can talk with, even if there's a counselor or somebody like that that she can talk to. That could be really helpful for her.
Yeah. Yeah, and she said, yes, I agree. And there's a feeling of like unraveling. So yes, you know, as you're saying that, you know, it's a shock because your mother and all of the women in your family were very close and are very close. And I kept seeing where there was like sort of something cut out. So like you know, this is your mother and this is your grandmother. She feels like she feels the distance right now. And you know, and as Julie was saying, and you were confirming, and and um and this is why she's not able to like truly see. So it's almost like an unraveling of her old belief system, you know, of okay, more that that optimism is sort of kind of you know, gone away, because it's almost like you know, I was, you know, optimistic when I had everything in place, but then something shook her to the core. And what your grandmother is saying is that she's got to go through it. And Julie, I think Julie said that, yeah. And she's got to go through it, and you know, she's got to process it in her way. And as loving as you are, and as much as you want things to be okay right now, sometimes it takes a little longer for other people. You know, you know, I feel very strongly that your mother signify not just a mother, but a part of her life and of who she is. And losing her mother, it was almost like losing her strength or losing her stabilizing leg. And, you know, and, you know, the only, and I think Julie said this too. The only thing you can do is let her process it and let her know that that you're there, because it may take a bit. Because you know, you're seeing it as the granddaughter, she's seeing it as the woman who birthed her. And it can be very difficult. Yes, I tell her all the time, she's got her family in spirit all around her. She has now lost both her mom and her dad. I say the same thing. This is hers to deal with, absolutely. And yeah, and you know, you and your sister being around her, she's got to find a new way of seeing life, because right now, and it's not, I'm going to say it in the most simple sense, the pattern has been broken. So she's got to find her new pattern, and you know, her new comfort, because you know, that was a source of comfort for her, is to have her mother. And you know, you will see some things you don't like. And I do feel like that she keeps saying like storm is coming. Like you know, it could get even worse until it gets better. So it's like there's almost a self-destructive kind of thing happening, and not in like a you know, I'm gonna hurt myself kind of way, but it's almost like where you're just like you sort of give up on areas that you know, you were more optimistic on before. But it is to say, it is to she said, use your grandmother's words to her, like remind her of some of those you know, the things that she says to her, or the you know, grandma would say this, and or something like that, those little reminders of her still being here, still existing, can transform their relationship, as it is now.
So that was the loss. There wasn't something else. The loss was actually the loss of the grandmother. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I was reading into that. I had no idea that's what it was. Okay. Yeah. I think that the main message I got, to just add on again, just to reiterate what Theon was saying, is that a counselor would probably be very beneficial at this time for your mom. Absolutely. So that would be grief counseling. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she said you were both spot on. Well, I'm so happy to, that we can kind of give you some information. So, even in, because I know you and your family are spiritual. So, has your mother talked to any intuitive psychics or, mediums anyway, to connect with your grandmother? Oh, no problem at all. Yeah. And just while we wait, because that might be helpful, definitely seek counseling, but it might be nice to, to have her connect if your grandmother wants to give her any personal messages or things like that. So, yeah. And yeah, she said, thank you so much. This is very helpful. But yeah, and it is tough, especially with the loss of a parent. I think we all have experienced, well, not all, but I know Julie and I have both experienced that. She wants to, but she doesn't want to go to anyone that knows me at all. So I'm having a tough time recommending someone. Oh, well, you can always come to us, and I know some people that doesn't, wouldn't necessarily know you. So yeah, I definitely I understand that, because I think I've read your grandmother a couple times now. So it might be, especially if she really wants to have that connection. Um, you know, um, uh, yeah, I'm sure Julie and I could give you recommendations on some amazing mediums. And yeah, so I'll give you that information too. Yeah, so thank you. And I thank you, your grandmother, for coming in today and being such a ball of light, literal ball of light. Reading for her is on mic. Oh,
yeah, I did see a man with your grandma too. And so I assume that would be her husband. It felt like someone to her side, like a husband. And he has very green energy. I just see him all in green, like just salt of the earth, natural, loving, easygoing guy. But they're together. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said, a reading for her is on my Christmas list. I just didn't want to push it on her. Yeah, and maybe get her reading that's open-ended, so that she can make her own choice on when she goes. That seems like a good idea. So yeah.
I think so too.
Absolutely. So yeah, and definitely I will give you some references, and then definitely would love to set up a reading for your son. That would be amazing. But yeah, and thank you, and thank your grandmother and all of your guides who are always around you, Rachel, for communicating with us today and allowing us to do this for you. So thank you so much. And yeah, what a beautiful reading. And if anybody else wants to, get a reading, or maybe even talk about a paranormal experience that they've had, please feel free. Julie and I are going to take, I guess, one more reading. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. If anybody has a question, and Rachel, let me know what happens in your family, the opportunity, there's something coming. It feels like something coming, opportunity, possibly increasing income for the family. Just let us know when that happens.
And when you say family, do you say immediate family or like her whole, like her?
Immediate family.
Yeah, I think we know. That's awesome. Well, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, what a great way to sort of, end things tonight because that was an amazing reading, especially, Rachel's grandmother has a beautiful energy. So, yeah, if let's see. Lottery. Thank you again. Yes, I believe me, if we could win the lottery, we would. You know how it is extremely difficult. People always say like if you're a medium or you're a psychic, why don't you just get the lottery numbers? It doesn't necessarily work like that with numbers and letters.
Some people do, but
Yeah.
it's just it's not an easy thing to do. I knew a psychic. He would go into the casinos and he knew how to read the machines about which ones were going to pay out. He won a lot of money, and there were newspaper articles about him and the money that he kept winning. But he could go in. He just knew how to read the slot machines.
Yeah. And that makes more sense than, let's say, the lottery. And there was a stint while during for me that I remember, Julie, that I was like, I kept getting numbers. I was like, I'm just gonna try. And so I kept, doing numbers. And I don't even want to say it because it almost makes me mad. But and what I kept writing series of numbers and then I decided to play some of the numbers that I saw. Well, I had written them on one page and then the page under it. And so I was like, and there was just a couple. It wasn't like I wrote a ton. But I was like, I went and played the numbers. And as soon as the numbers came out, I knew I got every single number in the exact order in which they came out. And I was screaming to my husband, I did it. I actually did it. I didn't play the numbers on the bottom. I actually have the notepad and everything where it shows the number. And those were the numbers I didn't play. I played only the top ones, and I thought that I had put those in, and they were in the exact order. There was no deviation. One
Wait,
time that happened.
I don't understand what you're saying. You played them on the top, but not the bottom. What does that mean?
So I wrote two on 2 pages, a set like series of numbers.
Oh,
yeah. And so I played only the top on the first page of numbers. I thought I played both pages.
Oh,
and so when I saw it, yeah,
it was the other page that won. So you had the numbers down on another page. They were the ones that won, but you didn't play them.
Yes. And even my husband we were like, ah! And then I flipped. Yeah.
That's sad. I'm upset.
Yeah. I think I thought I told you that. And I was like almost in tears, and that's when I stopped doing it. Because I was like,
telling me stuff. You were telling me stuff about that, but I don't think I understood it. What you were saying.
I was getting so close, and then I just got this acknowledgement that it's really not meant for me to do this, because I was starting to get like really crazily into it. And I see numbers all the time, and I thought, okay, this would be easy to try to bring those, put those numbers into practice. And I would play it every week. And and I started getting like a couple numbers in the right order, so in which they came. And so it would be like I get like either the first two or the last two or middle two, but you know, it would always just be like that. And then one day, and I knew that these numbers were it. And I don't know why I didn't do that number, just because I was like, you know, I got excited. Yeah.
Was
And yeah, it wasn't meant. But the same thing happened to my mother. I've told you that story, right? So right before, and I'll let everybody go. I'm sorry, but this is just it's and that's why I thought, okay, maybe there's the luck of the Paulinos, right? And so my mother had just gotten out of her she had a brain aneurysm, so she was came out of surgery, and she had been talking to my grandfather, and she goes, my grandfather gave me the numbers, or my father gave me the numbers. And you know, my father, you know, they only played the numbers. And as she's writing them down, she goes, my father would never say, and it's my favorite number too, my father would never say seven. And if she goes, I kept hearing seven, but my father would never say seven. And they even, my father didn't know she did this, because this was as she's writing it down, she had the numbers written down. They're telling the lady at the grocery store that they knew, and so that, you know, these are the numbers, and my mother played them. And the next day, the lottery, they walk in, and the lady is in tears. She thinks they played them. And they won, but they didn't win the full, because they got every single number except the seven.
oh, because she didn't play the seven.
Yeah,
Well,
they won like $60,000, but that, you know,
what?
that was great. Right, yeah. But they didn't win, you know, they didn't win the full lottery. And my mother was like, but the thing is, I almost feel like that's sometimes it's just not meant for you to do that. Maybe it's, you know what I mean? It's meant for you to know that you can do something. But that's what I kept falling into with this, is that I would get so close.
I don't know.
And
I think there's going to come a time you're going to come back around to it again and try that again when
I
you're
don't
ready.
know. It's frustrating. I kind of wanted to give up. I was actually in tears.
Yeah.
And not because I wanted to win, but it was more
Or
because,
win. Why wouldn't you wouldn't play it if you didn't want to win?
yeah. Oh no, I mean, like, not just because I wanted to. It was more, I was frustrated because it was my connection to it. Like, I started seeing numbers, you know, and I could differentiate, and I still can differentiate from the numbers that come up versus the numbers that I create. So you know, but what started happening is that if I, you know, I only did a couple numbers a week. It was, you know, it was just like, oh, I do it real quick. And I started seeing repetitive numbers. And so then I would automatically, my brain would say, oh, well, I saw that last time, but it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? So it started
Yeah.
getting frustrating, and when it gets to that point, it's not fun anymore, you know?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
yeah. Why if it's not fun?
yeah,
That-
yeah. Yeah, maybe one day, maybe we can even make a pool of lottery numbers, and
Man, well,
yeah.
my dad used to play it every week, the Virginia lottery. He'd go across the state because North Carolina didn't have a lottery back then, but he'd go to Virginia and he'd play the same number every week. And one week he got every single number except for one, and it was off by one digit.
Oh,
It was
oh
off.
my God.
They only won like 900 and some dollars. Of course, that was back in the 80s or 90s. So, $900 was a lot, but it wasn't, they were just so close. I think it was like in 1.5 million or something. They could have won like 1 million. And it
Oh,
just,
wow.
so he started playing another number after that, and he didn't never hit it that close again.
Yeah. Wow. See, I mean, I bet a lot of people have these kind of experiences. You know, recently my sister's husband, they were just like, I think they got scratch offs from a friend, and he won $10,000. I'm like, how do you do that? And then not even thinking, that's the kind of thing like I don't like to get into. I don't want to get like frustrated with things or over obsessed about it
Yeah.
either.
And here, I
It's
just
tough.
drive or motivation to do it because in my heart, I don't believe that is not like my path
Wait, you don't believe that it's your path?
to play the lottery and win. So if I don't do it, then that right there is gonna diminish any chances of winning. So I
Yeah.
don't do it. I'm very good at getting scratchers and winning nothing.
Yeah. I'm a pro at that actually. And that's the thing. I don't know that that's in my cards, and I've asked many times. And in fact, the last time I asked, they said no. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of trust that.
Yeah, and a lot of people, there's research on people who win the lottery that they end up becoming less happy than they were before they won. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things to consider when you start.
I went through the gamut on that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like for me, I've always had to work hard for what I got, and not in a bad way. I prefer it. I don't like to be given anything. I like to be, satisfied, and I like to earn every penny. And that frustrates my kids because then I always have to they get mad. I'm like, nope, you have to earn that. And but it is, it's important. Yeah. But if so, I don't know if maybe that's why I have that feeling about it, because you know does it, yeah, people don't necessarily, there's a lot of like lottery horror stories where their whole life was ruined because of it. So I don't know, I think it's really not about money. And I go back to my hippie parents, and and my father didn't, his head didn't explode when my mother didn't win the lottery, because his and her what they instilled in us is that what his famous thing is, on your deathbed, would you say I wish I worked more? No,
mm,
it's about enjoying.
right.
So I don't know that I can enjoy. And once like, just like with the numbers, once I couldn't enjoy it anymore and it felt like too much, then that's when you don't. That's obsession. It's
Yeah,
not, so for me, all I want is a big lot of land so I can have some animals, and that's it. And hang out with my friend Julie Starr. And and that's really all we need when we start and it's funny because they said something about materialism to me today, and because that's not one thing I was I'm really about, and I've ever really for the most part. I mean, everybody to an extent likes something nice or fancy or something like that, but I've never been incredibly materialistic. So that is that's always been a hard one for me, because what if you do get something given to you, and do you appreciate it as much? No, not
right,
really.
right. Yeah,
So yeah. So
yeah,
I think it's just really about the experience, and and enjoying what you have, and being grateful for everything that you have.
yeah,
Everybody always says that. Be grateful, be like Tiny Tim, since it's the holidays. But it's if you can be happy and satisfied with the way your life is now, then
yeah,
you're perfect. And
yeah.
everything else is just great. Yeah.
And then just be willing to receive more abundance as it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. I know now, I always think, okay, we're gonna keep to the time, but of course,
Yeah.
we never do.
But it's time to wrap things up.
Yes. Absolutely. So thank you all for listening to my rants and the beautiful messages that Rachel got. And, we look forward to seeing you all next week. And again, let us know if you have any stories. Like I said, my new thing is near-death experiences. If you have any experiences with the paranormal, near death, or whatever, please reach out to us on either our Evolve Me site, evolveme.com, which is evolve without the E, .com, or Facebook or YouTube or even TikTok. Message us and we will receive the messages and definitely get back to you and maybe even have you on our show. So yeah, come back and, next week, again, we'll be doing reading. So feel free to hop in and ask us some questions. And, until then, we wish you all a wonderful week and almost a happy holiday. So look forward to seeing you all then. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, Julie Star.
Bye.
Bye.